Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Review Series, returning after a very long absence. We started this and I went in another direction with the channel. We are returning and we're going to do all 200 or so episodes of the Smoky Mountain television product. This is I believe, the um, 22nd of May 1992 episode. Certainly a major force. Smoky Mountain, my all time favorite promotion. Memphis is a close second, and Mid South is a close third. Ask me on any given day. I might change the positioning on, like the Memphis and Smoky, but they are 1 and 2 easily. Anyway, Smoky Mountain Wrestling is going forward here. Relatively new. They're only here for a couple of years. But Tommy Angel and Hector Guerrero are here. Guerrero does a bunch of roles and lucha related stuff, which for 1992 was a pretty big deal because you didn't really see a lot of lucha in 1992 by any stretch of the imagination. Uh, I mean, it's certainly an interesting run there. Um, it's yeah, certainly challenging there, and it's it's a interesting run with really unique stuff. Actually, believe this episode is in February of 1992. Episode 4 in general, though. Anyway, Guerrero manages to get head scissors takeover on Angel, and Angel is not a guy that's really known greatly, but basics by the idea here is that Hector is going to get the majority of the attention. We kind of see him do some roll ups and wheelbarrow stuff. Really, actually, a match worth seeing because it's the blending of lucha with traditional wrestling done well, which I think is a lost art certainly today. Guys try and force other guys to do lucha, or guys who shouldn't be doing a lucha style kind of come at each other, and that doesn't go very well. Needless to say, three quarter three quarter roll. Dutch Mantel at one point calls it a jalapeno roll. Just awkward. They go to a go back. Jimmy Golden and um, the return of Ivan Koloff is kind of talked about here. They had gone at it weeks before or last week, and so there's a tag match there. Eventually, we see an enhancement talent match with Brian Lee. Brian Lee, of course, getting into it with Dutch Mantel. Mantel not happy. They do a videotape review, VTR kind of Lee getting into it. Lee basically saying post that match that he wants to get at Dutch Mantel any way he can. Mantel brings out Carl Styles, relatively unknown to the national scene, but basically a guy who's well known in this area. Meanwhile, Dutch Mantel in the last week's deal, which is covered here on the channel, was handed a weapon by Ron Wright. Styles aligned himself with Dutch Mantel. Mantel trying to basically say that he's the only reason the guy is there. Continuation, and we see hype for upcoming house show tours and basically hometown branding with Robert Gibson, Brian Lee, and Tim Horner. All three baby faces who basically want the fans to come out and support them because, well, they'll make money that way. I really liked this. The promo itself wasn't great, but the concept is, which is getting the hometown baby faces to get fans to come out to their local charity, their high school, whatever. Styles is at the announce desk with Dutch Mantel, and that's kind of there. We then see Killer Kyle in an enhancement talent match. Killer Kyle, of course, kind of doing the business suit style gimmick, and he basically hits a bunch of brawling moves, punches, kicks, and the like, clotheslines, hard stuff. He's wearing a suit with an attempted deal. Roll up by the enhancement talent, nothing to write home about. But even in this enhancement match, there's enough stuff from the babyface where it looks like for a moment there's a chance of a win, but it's not so flagrant that it looks foolish. And I think that's something where you got to learn that. Meanwhile, Ron Wright makes his way to ringside. He wants to have the opportunity to manage somebody. Um, Killer Kyle has some trouble before dumping his adversary on the back of his neck with a hanging suplex, and ultimately, there we go. Irish whip, drop kick under the chin, and such by the babyface enhancement talent catches Killer Kyle a little off guard. Kyle maybe not as protected as he should be here, but with a new territory, you got to establish that things are there. Killer Kyle is helped by Ron Wright, grabs the violin case that he brings to the ring, sends his opponent into it, gets a victory as a result, and that is that here in that general area. So we have a promo from a local area school administrator and charity runner, basically saying that Tim Horner did right by his hometown by bringing Smoky Mountain there. I mean, these are wonderful things. I enjoy this because it's useful, and then they do a bunch of hype for bringing wrestling to your town. Hollywood, Bob Holly up next, cutting a promo basically saying that various famous people enjoy him. Hollywood Bob Holly in pinkish purple tights, which is just weird. But anyway, that's the way he's going with it, and he ends up being a guy in the ring that's a pretty big deal. Enhancement match for the returning Brian Lee. Brian Lee, basically the babyface of the area at the time. Jim Cornette wanted other people, and Lee's the best he could do at the time, or at least the most consistent he could do at the time. Enhancement talent, whose name I did not write down, basically is there to make Lee look like $1,000,000. Body slams, hip tosses, and the like by Lee. Lee manages to get shots off for the time. Brian Lee, who later becomes the Taker Faker, the fake Undertaker in 1994. I mean, he's good here for a while. Better when he does the heel turn with Tammy Stitch, aka Sunny. But certainly worth taking a look at. I'm gonna grab my phone, so I will be back in two shakes of a lamb's tail. But we will continue here in the next little while. Anyway, so the continuation of the Brian Lee match is super basic, and I mean, there's anything wrong with that. Brian Lee at this point was green as a as a grass a grass turf yard, whatever, and it to say it showed doesn't necessarily mean an insult to him, just that he was struggling to be ready for this opportunity. Luckily, he had guys like Dutch Mantel and Kevin Sullivan and other people to work with who helped him to be ready, but certainly he was more green than would be ready. And there is involvement from Dutch Mantel at this point to get involved in the match, and that happens at the very end. I think they were trying to go almost for a southern Magnum TA type vibe to this. Mantel and Styles do run in on him at post match and all of that, and it's awkward to say the very least. The Fantastics against Vladimir and Ivan Koloff is up next, and again at this point, 4 episodes into the program, having the Fantastics, who were Carolina regulars, and the nature of the Russians, who again were, if we go back even 7 years, 8 years before, major forces in the Carolinas, was smart booking by Jim Cornette. For as much as people criticize Cornette and get after him for political views and not moving on in wrestling at the time when he booked, and I would even venture to say now, a lot of the principles that he believes in would in fact be present and continuous. Fantastics and the Russians here, pretty basic. I mean, the Vladimir Koloff, I don't even remember that being a major thing. Hard to tell the Fantastics apart at this point, as they both dyed their hair platinum blonde. So my mistakes when I'm not covering them completely well, because their bodies look similar to me with my vision loss. So anyway, the Russians do take over pretty aggressively. They are pretty up there. The nature of everything is there. Actually, I'm sorry, it's Jimmy Golden and Koloff. So I'm wrong with it being the Russians. I believe it's because in an earlier episode I had written here, and I had kind of had written the Russians, and I think it was from episode 3. Anyway, so Jimmy Golden, much easier to tell apart. But anyhow, Koloff is a pretty major force in the area. Jimmy Golden, for folks that had followed Continental, the match is broken down. The heels take the majority of the match, but the baby faces are always in it for, you know, maybe 3 or 4 steps behind, and it's good. Shots sent the um, into the post, and you know, I would definitely watch something like this on a continual basis over anything today, because A, the matches told stories, and B, in 4 episodes I care about the characters, and I think that for a aged fan, or a fan that's grew up, let's say, before the Attitude Era of 19, let's call the Attitude Era beginning 1997. So for a fan that was a fan before 1997, the absence of each character having its own motives, their own motives, is struggling. And so again, we see Golden kind of taking the man down and staying on him. The referee says, enough, that the feet are on the bottom ropes, and that is there. And I mean, that's a pretty big issue. Needless to say, ultimately, kind of going around, and the win for the Fantastics is there. They close up the program pretty simply, and that will close us for today. As mentioned, we are going to go back to covering Smoky Mountain on a regular basis. There's about 200 episodes total, and I think some of the big shows, the quarterly shows, or 4 to 6 times a year are available as well. So probably in the neighborhood of about 200 to 220 episodes is what's here. But anyhow, we'll fill that in and then go to Mid Atlantic or go to ECW or go to Memphis or somewhere. But keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.